The call came at 11:30 on a Tuesday night. I was reviewing contracts for a client presentation the next morning when my phone lit up with my younger sister Rachel's name. "Marcus, I need to talk to you. It's urgent." I set down my coffee and braced myself. With Rachel, urgent could mean anything from a genuine crisis to running out of her favorite brand of oat milk. "What's going on, Rach?" "I got it! The investor meeting I told you about? They loved my pitch. They absolutely loved it. But Marcus, there's a problem." Rachel had been talking about her business idea for 3 years, a boutique marketing agency specializing in sustainable brands. She had the vision, the connections, the talent. What she didn't have was capital. "They want me to show more skin in the game," she continued, her voice trembling with excitement and anxiety. "They'll match whatever I put in, dollar for dollar, up to $200,000, but I need to come up with my half by the end of the month or the deal dies." $200,000? I repeated slowly. "I know it's a lot. I've been saving, but I only have $37,000. Marcus, this is my shot. This is everything I've been working toward. If I don't do this now, someone else will take the same concept to market, and I'll have missed my chance." I thought about the money sitting in my investment account, the bonus from my promotion to senior partner, $215,000 to be exact, money I'd been planning to use for a down payment on a lake house. "How confident are you in this business plan?" I asked. "Marcus, I've spent 3 years developing this. I have 5 clients ready to sign the moment we open. The market research shows a 38% gap in sustainable brand marketing services in our region. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm asking for an investment in something real." Something in her voice reminded me of when we were kids, when she'd convinced me to help her build a lemonade stand that somehow turned into the most profitable operation on our street. Rachel had always had that spark of entrepreneurship, that unshakable belief that she could make things happen. "Send me the business plan," I said. "Let me look it over." "Really? Marcus, oh my God, thank you for even considering." "I'm not promising anything. Send me everything. Projections, client commitments, the investor terms. I want to see it all." She sent it that night. I stayed up until 3 in the morning reading through every page. The plan was solid, more than solid. It was brilliant. Rachel had thought of everything: market positioning, scalability, risk mitigation strategies. This wasn't a pipe dream. This was a legitimate business opportunity. The next morning, I called my financial advisor. "Marcus, I have to ask, is this a good investment or a family obligation?" David had been managing my portfolio for 6 years and knew me well enough to cut through the nonsense. "Honestly, both, but the numbers check out. I've seen worse business plans get funded for twice as much." "And if it fails, can you afford to lose this money?" I thought about that question carefully. Could I afford it? Yes. Would it hurt? Absolutely. But would I be able to live with myself if I said no and watched my sister's dream die because I wanted a lake house? "I can afford it," I said. 2 days later, I sat across from Rachel at our favorite coffee shop, the one we'd spent countless Saturday mornings growing up. I slid a folder across the table. "This is a cashier's check for $215,000. The extra 15 is for initial operating costs that I noticed weren't fully covered in your first quarter projections." Rachel's hands shook as she opened the folder. Tears started streaming down her face before she even touched the check. "Marcus, I don't know what to say. I promise you, I swear on everything, I'm going to make this work. You won't regret this." "I know you will, but Rach, we need to be clear about something. This is a loan, not a gift. Family or not, this is a business arrangement. I'm drafting an agreement that you'll pay me back over 5 years, starting in year 2 when the business should be profitable. Standard interest rate, nothing predatory, but this needs to be official." She nodded vigorously. "Of course, absolutely, that's totally fair. Thank you, Marcus, thank you so much." We signed the agreement the following week. My lawyer drew it up, making sure everything was legitimate and binding. Rachel signed without hesitation, and for a moment I felt good about my decision. I was helping my sister achieve her dream while protecting my investment. Win-win. The agency, Evergreen Solutions, launched 6 weeks later. Rachel threw a party that I couldn't attend because of a work conference in Seattle, but she sent me pictures. The sleek office space, her small but dedicated team, the champagne toast with her investors. Over the next few months, I watched from a distance as Rachel built something real. Her Instagram showed client meetings, successful campaigns, her team growing from 3 people to 7. She'd text me occasionally with updates. Just signed our biggest client yet, or we're already at 130% of our Q1 revenue projections. I was proud of her, genuinely, deeply proud. 6 months in, she invited me to the agency's half-year success celebration. I almost declined. It was a Friday night and I'd had a brutal week, but something told me I should be there. The agency's office was in a renovated warehouse in the Arts District, all exposed brick and modern fixtures. As I walked in, I was immediately impressed. This wasn't some scrappy startup operating out of a cramped room. This was a legitimate operation. Rachel spotted me from across the room and rushed over, giving me a huge hug. "You came! I'm so glad you're here. Come on, I want you to meet everyone." She pulled me through the crowd, introducing me to her team, her investors, her clients. Everyone spoke about her with genuine respect and admiration. The investors particularly seemed thrilled with the returns they were seeing. "Your sister is remarkable," one of them told me, a silver-haired woman named Patricia, who apparently sat on several corporate boards. "We've invested in a lot of startups, and I have to say, Evergreen Solutions is exceeding every expectation. Rachel has a gift." I felt a swell of vindication. My investment hadn't just been about helping family, it had been smart business. Later in the evening, I found myself near the bar waiting for a drink when I heard a conversation that made me freeze. No, seriously, how did Rachel pull this together so fast? I mean, she was completely broke 6 months ago. "Oh, you didn't hear?" the one woman laughed. "Her brother is loaded, like seriously wealthy, works at some big consulting firm. She basically went crying to him and he wrote her the check for the whole thing." "No way, that's insane. Must be nice to have a family ATM." They both laughed, and my blood went cold. Family ATM. I grabbed my drink and moved away from the bar, trying to shake off what I'd heard. It was just office gossip. People exaggerate, it doesn't mean anything. But then I noticed Rachel across the room, surrounded by a group of people I didn't recognize. She was animated, gesturing with her champagne glass, and the crowd around her was laughing. I moved closer, staying just outside the circle, and caught the tail end of her story. And I was like, "Marcus, I need exactly $215,000 by next Friday." And you know what he did? He just wrote the check. Didn't even negotiate. I think I could have asked for $300,000 and he would have done it. More laughter from the group. "What's it like having a brother who's basically a bank?" someone asked. Rachel took a sip of her champagne, and I watched her face carefully. She had this look, this expression I'd seen before when we were kids, when she'd gotten away with something and was enjoying the thrill of it. Honestly, it's pretty convenient. I mean, I love my brother, don't get me wrong, but he's always been the responsible one, the successful one, the one who does everything by the book. I think he gets something out of playing savior, you know? Makes him feel important. My stomach dropped. "So wait," another voice chimed in, "did you have to sign anything? Like, is this a loan or just family money?" "Oh, we signed some paperwork to make him feel better about it. You know how type A people are, everything has to be official. But come on, he's my brother. It's not like he's actually going to come after me for repayment. That would make him look like a monster at family gatherings." The group laughed again, and someone raised their glass. "To family ATMs." "To family ATMs," Rachel echoed, clinking her glass with theirs. I stood there, drink in hand, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. The noise of the party faded into a dull roar. All I could hear was that phrase over and over: family ATM, family ATM, family ATM. I set my drink down on the nearest surface and walked out. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't make a scene. I just left. In my car, I sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes, hands gripping the steering wheel. I kept replaying the conversation in my head, trying to find some other interpretation, some way to understand what I'd heard that didn't involve my sister completely betraying my trust. But there wasn't one. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. "Where did you go? People want to meet you." I didn't respond. Another text came through a few minutes later. "Everything okay?" I started the car and drove home. That night, I pulled out the loan agreement Rachel and I had signed. I read through it carefully, clause by clause. It was all there, legally binding. $215,000. Before we continue, if you've ever been taken advantage of by family, hit that like button and subscribe, because karma stories like this need to be heard. Let's get into what happened next. Thursday arrived with the weight of inevitability. I got to the restaurant 15 minutes early and chose a table in the back corner. Private, but not so isolated that Rachel could cause a scene without witnesses. She walked in 12 minutes late, breezing through the door with the confidence of someone who had no idea their world was about to shift. Designer sunglasses, new handbag, Gucci if I wasn't mistaken, and the kind of casual elegance that comes from success, or from spending someone else's money. Sorry, she said, kissing my cheek before sliding into her seat. "Client call ran long, you know how it is." "I do." She ordered a sparkling water with cucumber and started chatting about a new campaign they'd just landed, something about a sustainable fashion brand's fall collection. I let her talk, watching her animated gestures, her easy confidence. Finally, she paused. "So what did you want to talk about? The repayment schedule? Because honestly, Marcus, the business is doing even better than projected. I was actually thinking I might be able to start payments earlier than year 2, maybe in 6 months or so." "That's good to hear," I said, pulling out my tablet, "because I've been reviewing our agreement and I think we need to make some adjustments." Her smile faltered slightly. "Adjustments?" I spoke with my lawyer. Given the accelerated success of Evergreen Solutions, congratulations on that, by the way, we both agree that there's no reason to delay repayment until year 2. Rachel's face went pale. "What do you mean?" The grace period was built into the agreement under the assumption that the business would need time to become profitable, but you're already profitable, significantly so from what I understand. Your investors are thrilled. You're exceeding projections. There's no financial hardship preventing you from beginning repayment now. "Marcus, we agreed. We agreed on terms based on certain assumptions. Those assumptions no longer apply." I slid a document across the table. "This is a formal notice of modified repayment terms. You'll begin monthly payments of $4,500 starting next month. That's well within your means given your current revenue." She stared at the paper like it was written in a foreign language. $4,500 a month? Marcus, that's insane. I have operating costs, payroll, rent, all of which you've budgeted for quite successfully. This payment represents less than 8% of your monthly revenue based on the figures your investors shared with me. "You talked to my investors?" Her voice rose slightly, drawing a glance from a nearby table. "I'm a stakeholder in your business, Rachel. I have every right to understand its financial health, especially when I'm owed $215,000 plus interest." She sat back in her chair, and I watched something shift in her expression. The friendly sister disappeared, replaced by something harder, more calculating. "This is about the party, isn't it?" "I'm sorry?" "The celebration last Friday. You left without saying goodbye. Someone said something to you, didn't they?" I kept my voice level. "This is about a legally binding loan agreement that you signed. Nothing more, nothing less." "Marcus, come on. If someone said something stupid, if there was some kind of misunderstanding—" "There was no misunderstanding, Rachel. I heard you perfectly clearly, every word." The blood drained from her face. She knew exactly what I was referring to. I was just joking around. You know how people talk at parties. I didn't mean. Here's what I think happened, I interrupted. I think you never took this loan seriously. I think you signed that agreement humoring me, assuming when the time came you'd cry or guilt trip me or play the family card and I'd just let it go. I think you saw me as an easy mark. That's not true. Then prove it. Sign the modified agreement, start making payments, show me that this was actually a business arrangement and not just you manipulating your older brother's good nature. She stared at me with something I'd never seen in her eyes before, genuine fear. What if I can't? She whispered. Can't or won't? Marcus, if I have to pay you $4,500 a month right now, it'll destroy my cash flow. I won't be able to take on new clients, invest in growth. That's not my problem. You have a profitable business. You're making money hand over fist according to your investors. Figure it out. And if I don't? I let the silence stretch between us before answering. Then I'll exercise my rights under the default clause of our agreement. I'll file a claim against your business assets, which could trigger your investors to pull out. I'll garnish your personal accounts. And yes, Rachel, I'll make sure everyone in your professional network knows exactly why. Tears started streaming down her face. Real ones this time, not the manipulative kind she'd used to get the money in the first place. You'd really destroy everything I've built? I built this with you, Rachel, with my money, my trust, my belief in your dream. You're the one who decided to treat that like a joke. The waiter approached to take our order, but quickly retreated when he saw Rachel's tears. I need time, she said finally. Please, give me 60 days to adjust my finances and I'll start the payments. I promise. 30 days. Marcus. 30 days, Rachel. 1 month to get your affairs in order. After that, I want the first payment and I want it on time. If you miss even one payment, the full amount becomes immediately due. Those are my terms. She wiped her eyes with the napkin, mascara leaving dark streaks. Fine, 30 days. I slid another document across the table, the amendment to our agreement reflecting these new terms. She signed it with shaking hands, not even reading it this time. As I gathered my things to leave, she grabbed my arm. Marcus, please, can we talk about this? Really talk? You're my brother. I love you. I made a terrible mistake, but don't let this destroy our relationship. I looked down at her hand on my arm, then met her eyes. You know what the saddest part is, Rachel? When you called me your family ATM, you were actually wrong. ATMs are reliable. They're predictable. They don't have feelings to hurt or trust to betray. What you had was something much more valuable. You had a brother who believed in you so completely that he gave you $250,000 based on nothing but faith in your potential. I gently removed her hand from my arm. You don't have that anymore, Rachel. What you have now is a creditor, and creditors don't forgive. They collect. I left her sitting there, and I didn't look back. 6 months later, Rachel made every payment, on time, without fail. $4,500 like clockwork deposited into my account on the first of every month. We don't talk much anymore. Mom thinks I'm being too harsh. Dad says business is business. My younger brother thinks we're both being ridiculous. But here's what I know. Evergreen Solutions is still thriving. Rachel had to make some tough choices, cut some unnecessary expenses, like that Gucci handbag budget, but she's managing. Her business is stronger for it, actually. She's more careful with spending, more strategic with growth. And me? I'm not proud of how things ended up. I didn't want to be the villain in my sister's story, but I also couldn't let myself be the punchline to her jokes anymore. Sometimes I wonder if there was another way, if I could have confronted her differently, found some middle ground that preserved both the loan terms and our relationship. But then I remember her laughing with her friends, casually dismissing the sacrifice I'd made, the trust I'd given her, and I remember that some lessons can only be learned the hard way. To everyone watching this, here's what I learned, and I hope you never have to learn it the way I did. Family isn't supposed to be transactional, but it's also not supposed to be one-sided. Generosity without boundaries becomes enabling. Trust without accountability becomes exploitation. If someone in your life treats your kindness like a weakness, your generosity like an entitlement, you're not wrong to set boundaries, you're not cruel to expect respect, and you're not selfish to protect yourself from people who would take advantage of your love. Being family doesn't give anyone the right to mock your sacrifices or dismiss your feelings, and if setting boundaries makes you the villain in their story, maybe that says more about their character than yours. The truth is, I still love my sister, but I love myself enough now not to let anyone, family included, treat me like an ATM. If this story resonated with you, share it. Someone in your life needs to hear this message, and if you're the one who needs to hear it, consider this your sign to set those boundaries you've been avoiding. Because at the end of the day, real family respects you, real family values you, and real family would never make you feel like your only worth is what you can provide. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is to stop enabling them to take advantage of you. Take care of yourselves, and remember, you are not an ATM.